Hello and welcome back to another in-depth weather video. Today we're covering Tropical Depression 9E. Currently maximum sustained winds of 35 miles an hour, minimum central pressure of 1007 millibars, and is moving west-northwest at 14 miles an hour. I feel we're going to be seeing a lot of storms popping up here in the East Pacific. Right now the trend is just looking toward a very active East Pacific for at least the next few weeks. So let's look into this storm. Let's start first with the cone. We do expect this to become a tropical storm and then eventually form into a hurricane for a little bit, then degenerate as it kind of works around some. I was showing some higher wind shear in this area down here. But it's also going to be working into cooler waters, which means that it won't have that warm, moist air that tropical storms need. So it's kind of a catch-22, either wind shear or cold ocean temperatures. But we are expecting this to become a hurricane between, looks like, Monday and Tuesday. So let's move on to the arrival time of winds, 5-day wind speed probabilities. You can see it's the largest wind speed probabilities, 80%, right between the Sunday 8 p.m. to Tuesday 8 a.m. time frame. Few islands in here, mostly between the Sunday at 8 p.m. Sunday 8 p.m. Monday 8 a.m. and a few more in the 8 p.m. Monday to 8 a.m. Tuesday time slot. Actually, you know what? This area will probably be a couple islands in there. I think there's a few more in here. But these islands in here will be the most affected by this storm. Now, let's move on. So we just had Douglas. This one would be Elida. So the next named storm would be Elida. So let's move on. I actually want to go here first. This is the current satellite imagery of the storm. As you see, it's looking pretty decent at the center. A lot of thunderstorms popping up there. But the National Weather Service was pretty much predicting that this was going to form. I looked at their latest update. Said that it was probably going to form in the next few hours, and look at that, it did. So as this moves on, it'll obviously strengthen. It'll probably strengthen pretty quickly, especially as it's close to the Mexico coastline, when it's in those warmer waters, has that fuel, has that energy, and then it will start moving on. Speaking of that, let's look into the GFS, where we do have would-be Tropical Storm Elida right in here. You can see millibars start to drop. That means that it's gaining strength. You can also see that it's really dropping, 989 now. And then 977, 976. So definitely strengthening storm. That means that it's going to get stronger. And then we could see those wind gusts. These isobars here are very tight together. That means high sustained winds. That's probably where you start looking into hurricane. Then, again, as it starts to get into cooler waters, 975 is probably the lowest it's going to get. Then it starts increasing back up, starts weakening, and then you see that it will dissipate. Now, before we go into the winds here, I just want to show you how the GFS is predicting a very active East Pacific. You have this system right here. That eventually forms. Then right behind it, that one's looking monstrous. 978 here, 960 here. And it gets as low as 946. That is insane. But then again, this is the 19th of August. So that's 11 days away. So, or 10 or 11 days away. So things can change, but right now, just overall, just general trend, and there's another one popping up there. General trend, very active East Pacific in the next few weeks. So definitely something that we have to look at. But let's look at the surface winds. Let's do that. Surface winds, we're watching right here. You see, we started to get into those higher winds. Usually purple is an indicator of like hurricane force. Start seeing that in here a little bit. This is a very smaller storm, especially in the wind charts here. But you can see greens. That in the greens over here, you start to see those in there. Let's actually look into this. So 34 knots is tropical storm. And if we look at wind speed probabilities, hurricane wind speed probabilities, that is 74 miles an hour. So we're looking at about this point, between 64 and 80. So if you look here, 34 knots, that starts forming here in the next few runs. So you start to see that starting to form up. Then you can start seeing deeper and deeper colors into here. You start seeing some purple mixing in there. Those sustained winds, that's hurricane force. And then it starts to weaken and eventually degenerates back into, probably at that point, a post-tropical cyclone. Or maybe a depression based on where it's at, wind speeds, all that, and general organization. It might get downgraded beforehand. I don't see that happening, but it'll degenerate again. But let's still click through because I want to see these other storms here. Again, that looks like a hurricane there. That looks like a major hurricane, or at least a Cat 2. That's looking fierce. And then you have the next one in there. So that is it. That's all I wanted to cover with Elida. I will be covering it a little bit more as we have been seeing a little bit of a dip in the Atlantic season, starting to get more active here in the East Pacific. This will be an ongoing trend. Probably going to be making a lot of East Pacific videos over the next few weeks, probably even into September. Just making, look at this, they're all following about the same path. It's just round after round after round after round of tropical systems, all kind of generating here. So that is all I wanted to cover. Thank you all for watching. I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you guys next time.